They say the truth is hard to weaponize. They only injured when they telling lies. The devil feel the shame when revolutions finally televised. You've been advised. Crafting narratives, incentivized when lies are uplifted. Being candid gets you penalized.
Drum and bass. J. Cole, Song 9.
Get the fuck up out my face with what you talking about. I got too much on my plate, and I know you can't relate. They show love, but it be fake. Fuck you talking about. Should be covering up that hate. I know how to spot a snake. Niggas talk that drum and bass. Fuck you talking about. So you better know your.
Alright, fuck you talking about. Get the fuck up out my face. What you talking about? I don't say it like that. It's like kind of like this southern slang. What are you talking about? Fuck you talking about? Fuck you talking about? When people kind of say it fast, it's hard for me to even say it fast when I'm trying to do my video voice. I don't even know how to do it. And I don't even speak like that anyway. So, but again, going back to the roots, very clear Carolina connection here.
Yeah. You hear my words but got no clue about who I really am. From shark infested waters, phrases like that make me sound harder and more ruthless. But the truth is that I merely swam out the stolo, semis bland, willy-nilly over kilograms. Niggas selling rock like Steely Dan.
Alright, I'm gonna let him get back to it, but I like this line. He says, you hear my words but got no clue about who I really am. From shark-infested waters, phrases like that make me sound harder and more ruthless, but the truth is that I merely swam. Okay, this is the other side of trying to stay in your own lane. You know, some people also, when they try to stay in their own lane, and let's say they don't have many interactions in a type of environment that is known for being like ruthless or violent or whatever, but then claim that or hold on to that, or try to identify with the ruthless and violence that come from the area. It's like a badge of honor. Like, for example, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Born and raised there. Was there first 30 years of my life. Went to school and taught in South Memphis. I was born and raised in East Memphis. But I was also a basketball player, so you go all around the city and stuff like that. So anyway, there's a lot of people who live that type of lifestyle but latch on to, you know, the stories or the struggle or the violence that you'll really see in only really certain pockets of Memphis. But you can still, you know, use that badge of honor. Like, if you say you come from Memphis, people are anticipating like you were kind of like dodging sharks. Like, you know, when say I'm from shark-infested waters, from a place where a high murder rate. Phrases like that make me sound harder than I really am and more ruthless. Like, because I wasn't doing harmful or ruthless or hard things. Like, you know, really all you learn to do in these type of environments in order to make it out, like, you know, anyone does who come from these environments, is you just learn to mind your business. You learn to be respectful to people, be a respectable person, and mind your business. Those are like the three things that kind of keep you alive. Like, if you carry yourself a respectful way, most people don't bother you. If you respect other people, leave them alone, most people don't bother you. And just mind your business. And so that's what he's saying. So that's usually how people make it out. So they can say they're from wherever. They're from Compton, they're from Chicago, they're from Baltimore, they're from St. Louis. You know, but there's a lot of people who really weren't swimming in the waters, you know. And so, but, you know, it's still part of where you come from, so it's okay to brag about it. I'm just saying, but the line sometimes does kind of make you sound harder than you are. Or maybe some people are tough that don't have to come from that. So
got no clue about who I really am. From shark-infested waters, phrases like that make me sound harder and more ruthless. But the truth is that I merely swam out the stolo, semis bland, willy-nilly over kilograms. Niggas selling rock like Steely Dan, while the world spins like whirlwinds out of control.
And again, the out of stolo, semis bland, willy-nilly over kilograms. Niggas selling rock like Steely Dan. I don't know what Steely Dan is, but I'm sure somebody who's selling rock, or maybe Steely Dan is someone made of rock or something, some rock connection. Who is Steely Dan? Steely Dan. Oh, he's a rock band. Ah, Steely Dan's a rock band. That's tough, J. Cole. Like Steely Dan. Okay, I like that. All right, but again, the rhyme scheme too, willy-nilly over kilograms, niggas selling rock like Steely Dan, niggas selling rock, like that makes it even harder. Like, this is a rock band, they were selling rock and roll. Okay.
For kilograms, niggas selling rock like Steely Dan. While the world spins like whirlwinds, out of control. How does the soul find a thorough cleanse when all of this cold water that flows has for sure been contaminated with sin? Planted in the latest of trends, stranded in this land of the antiquated ways of the men, standing in a state of revenge, seeking a way to defend reputations because the names are actually greater than them. Life is a trip, you can't predict the random way that it ends. Bullets travel straight through the skin like gamma rays in the wind. My greatest of wins came when I annotated my gems. The shit I write so far, I got my hand afraid of my pen. Get the fuck up.
Dog. Man, come on, man. If you don't appreciate what J. Cole does, man, I don't know what to tell you. You just don't appreciate good writing. Like, this was beautiful. This was like, you know, this is Discovery Channel stuff. He goes off of out of Stolos Semi's Blam willy-nilly over kilograms. So people are shooting each other over little small willy-nilly, frivolously, over grams of drugs. People selling rock like Steely Dan, like the rock band, while the world spins like whirlwinds, okay, out of control. How does the soul find a thorough cleanse when all of this cold water that flows has sure been contaminated with sin? I was watching a video about like how Earth is so unique and the ocean really makes the Earth, and how you know, that's the beautiful thing about the ocean because of the temperatures, distance away from the sun, how beautiful the ocean is as far as preserving life. And I was also watching this video about like how they were digging in Antarctica and like a piece of ice that was like miles deep, and on the bottom of the ice, because it's frozen, it's preserved, so it contains millions of years of Earth's atmospheric history contained within the ice. And again, just the beauty and depth of things contained within the ocean and ice, and you see the vast nature of it. They say the world is mostly water, and I think a lot of the fresh water is kept in the ice in the Arctic. But why I was talking about all this, because to me, that's the type of things I think of when he says lines like this. That's why I'm saying the depth in the line is kind of what it makes you think about. He says, because while people are doing, there are people actually shooting at each other from living a street away in the small city of Chicago, while the world is spinning. There's big things happening in the world. The people are discovering what was here millions of years ago. And you're not understanding how frivolous the activity is. You're out of Stolo, Semi's Bland, or willy-nilly over kilograms. You're selling rock like Steely Dan while the world spins like whirlwind. Out of control, how does the soul find a thorough cleanse when all of this cold water that flows has been contaminated with sin? And it also touches on like the human impact of it, like because humans put our stain on the planet. We are manipulating the planet. Like I said, I know all these things because of human exploration and human exploitation. Whatever you feel about that, whether it's good or bad. It says, world has been contaminated with sin, planted in the latest of trends, stranded in this land of the antiquated ways of the men. These old school ways of the men. Standard in the state of revenge, seeking a way to defend reputations because the names are actually greater than them. Wasn't it Drake who said something about, I don't even know why a lot of people are famous. They just like, I don't even know what you do anymore. A lot of the people are famous. Their names are actually greater than them. Their reputation is what they hold on to. They said, I saw that in the 48 Laws of Power saying like, protect your reputation. Your reputation is everything. It can even be greater than what you can do. They were talking about this guy in one of these wars. I think it was fighting Napoleon or something. And they were saying that a lot of times before the war was fought, people were so afraid of him because he was leading the other side. So he would win wars he wasn't supposed to, or battles he wasn't supposed to win because his name carried so much weight. Reputations because their names are actually greater than them. Life is a trip. You can't predict the random way that it ends. So again, that's a nice line. Bullets travel straight through the skin like gamma rays in the wind. This is poetry, man. My greatest of wins came when I annotated my gems. Pause. The shit I write so fire, I got my hand afraid of the pen. My hand afraid of my pen. Okay. We get that one. Tough. Tough. It's good writing.
About my face with what you talking about. I got too much on my plate, and I know you can't relate. They show love, but it be fake. Fuck you talking about. Shit be covering up that hate. I know how to spot a snake. Niggas talk that drum and bass.
What you talking about?
So you better know your
Telling
place.
Anthony
Stay inside,
Edwards.
cause it ain't safe. Bitch, I'm outside with the eights.
What you talking about?
Tell me what's
that's
this to a
safe.
mate. Coming back when you escape. Quiet as kept. I feel the vibe of the whole city. So tired and stressed from getting fed to steady diet of death. Mothers crying on steps while porch lights shine down on a giant puddle that now forms on the ground and she wept. Family surrounding her, providing their best attempt at consoling her. Prayers and words of faith coming out of the breath.
This is the vivid imagery. So one part of a poetic device is just vivid imagery, being able to just with words tell a story. Like everything he said, everyone I feel like can visualize it. Quiet as kept, I feel the vibe of the whole city so tired and stressed from getting fed the steady diet of death. Mothers crying on steps while porch lights shine down on a giant puddle that now forms on the ground as she wept. So I feel like, again, we all can kind of like see that type of imagery. So a mother falling down quiet as she's weeping because someone just died at her expense. Prayers and words of faith coming out of their breath. So, thoughts and prayers type of thing. But that thoughts and prayers, even though it's an appreciated gesture, doesn't solve or bring back the person, doesn't stop the hurt. So people are still tired of the death. So just beautifully painted. And even the tone he's taking is kind of like conversational, kind of like you just want to listen. So let's listen.
Forms on the ground and she wept. Family surrounding her, providing their best attempt at consoling her. Prayers and words of faith coming out of the breath. Turning to the Lord's ironic at a time with these young niggas so violent they're let off at God in the flesh. My mind is a mess, conflicted, cause the energy's wicked. They need to impress at a high while their guidance is less. And while I feel powerless to change up how it is, a part of me is yelling loud as shit, you ain't trying your best.
So again, I make parallels between these songs because that's kind of how I like to look at them and think about things as connected. And it is a confident message. Like, I remember the Kendrick Lamar song Mama, where he was talking about how, like, when he went away and came home, and even though he's going away and talking this Black African, Pan-African stuff, the people back home are suffering still with no shoes and ashy and telling him you're not doing anything and you don't really know anything. It doesn't feel like he's doing enough, like the survivor's guilt type of thing, survivor's remorse or whatever they call it. He says when he gets done talking about how the mom falls and she wept and they're trying to console her and talking about thoughts and prayers, turning to the Lord is ironic at a time when these youngins are so violent they'll let off at God in the flesh. So in there's a place I can take that where, there's scriptures which talk about my dad was telling me about scriptures, at least I didn't look it up myself, but my dad's word is good. So he was talking about scripture that tells you about, like, how could you trust and be all good to a God you don't know when you're evil or like messed up to the brother that you see right there. Something, I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect of, it's hard to say that you're super God fearing and God loyal to when you're cruel to humans, which you see in the flesh, your brothers who you see in the flesh. And these youngins are so violent, they'll let off at God in the flesh. Some could argue with that type of theology that they are letting off at God's greatest creation in the flesh to show their respect for you. How can you say you honor me and you destroy all my creations? I don't really show honor or respect or fear of me if you go destroy my things or my sons or my kids or, So there's that place you can take it, but I think he's just saying, like, that's how violent they are. They're out of touch. My mind is a mess, so conflicted because their energy's wicked. Their need to impress at a high while their guidance is less. So they're trying to perform and prove, but no one's there to guide them and give them tasks or that are meaningful to do it with. Instead they're left with people, allowing them or even facilitating them doing harmful tasks. And while I feel powerless to change the power that is, a part of me is yelling loud as shit, you ain't trying your best. So that's the self-guilt, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like I want to help. I don't know how to help because it's so overwhelming. It's such a big monster that I'm trying to tackle. But also the other part of me is keeping me in check saying, like, yeah, bro, that's no excuse though. You're not doing enough. You too busy selling out arenas and flying on jets. So, you know, kind of like I said, the similar situation to the Kendrick Lamar mama.
And while I feel powerless to change up how it is, a part of me is yelling loud as shit, you ain't trying your best. Too busy selling out arenas and flying on jets. Life on cloud nine, and I can't deny it, I guess. I'm living my dream, my life is my childhood wish. The guilt that comes along with that is the size of the rest of the planet. I pray you get to see it across the Atlantic. Tonight I stepped out with my niggas and felt the organic nostalgia that arouses when I'm with the rest of the bandits. Obsessed with talking about the bitches we sexed till we landed in the...
So again, and this is also like a kind of a message on capitalism. You can't really be a power to the people type of person, which I think J. Cole is and wants to be, and be a hyper-capitalist. Those things cannot coexist because that's kind of the root of it. You just follow the money. So again, he calls himself the tormented poet. I know I'm making more than I'm worth. I know that what I'm doing, I'm living this lavish lifestyle, but I'm from 2-6 where people are wild and doing all types of crazy stuff, and no, I stayed in my lane and getting this result. It doesn't feel like it should be this much of a discrepancy. The wealth gap, as they say. So it's not that he doesn't feel like he should be doing some of these things. It just doesn't feel like it should be such of a gap. There are people who don't have anything. And the system is at large because he's saying, and he's too busy selling out arenas. So he's not experiencing it. It's kind of like the people who are super wealthy, not experiencing inflation right now. They're having a great time. I don't know what y'all are complaining about. That's not J. Cole, though, because he's conscious. When you're conscious, a lot of those people adopt that mentality because it's easy to cope with your reality. You're so super rich, they're super poor. You know, if you start thinking it's because of some wrong system, you know, people like, well, that means I don't deserve it. That's not what people are saying. But it's easy to fall down the line, so it's easier for people to just say, well, then I got here because of my own brilliance and they failed because of their inadequacies. Understand that you got there through some hard work of your own as well, but also you benefited from a system that's not necessarily fair to everybody or even most people because they won't experience half the things you are. You're living like a king. And yeah, not a lot of people love that. So part of me is yelling, you ain't trying your best. You're too busy selling out arenas and flying on jets. Life on cloud nine, and I can't deny it. I guess I'm living my dream. My life is my childhood wish. The guilt that comes along with that is the size of the rest of the planet. I pray you get to see it across the Atlantic. So I got a big chip again. I got guilt because I know I'm living this great life and people are struggling. The economy sucks for most people in America right now. But if you look at like the GDP, you will see it growing because a lot of AI industries in the elite just making more money. And a lot of people have never even left the country. So, you know what I mean? And meanwhile, I'm doing whatever, living on private jets. He said, the guilt comes with the size of the planet. I pray you get to see across the Atlantic. So I pray you get to actually see the planet for what it is. When I saw it, it changed my life. He says, tonight I stepped out with my guys and felt organic nostalgia that arouses when I'm with the rest of the bandits. Obsessed with talking about women we sexed. All right, let's keep going.
That arouses when I'm with the rest of the bandits. Obsessed with talking about the bitches we sexed till we landed in the spot that always used to pop when we was younger. Shook hands with niggas I hadn't seen for several Septembers. Gave hugs to women I only vaguely remember. The way their fingers caressing my back was giving me signals like you may enter. Liquor informing my agenda, straight and narrow for a while. But tonight I'm on a bender and my retina antennas are scanning the club intently. For the girl I wanted bad and almost had before the Bentley. But evidently, when you're the greatest rapper of the century, you'll get another shot. The club was starting to get too hot, so I stepped outside for a breather. That very moment I seen her, she had the glow of Aaliyah while I control my demeanor and said,
alright, so he about to describe the interaction. But again, talking about how in that other song when he was saying, I see the girl at the party, we flirt and whatever, I get to see through her skirt. And this is a similar type of interaction he's describing, like being in the club and whatever. And now that I'm famous, now that I'm J. Cole, I've maybe tried to talk to this girl before, you know. They ain't want me then, but how about now type of deal. But you get another shot when you lit. And this is a real thing. Like, and sometimes, again, when you're a person who's hyper conscious, it can be negative because you're tormented. You're a tormented poet. Even though you're succeeding, you don't feel like it's right. Like, it's like you're getting money in your back of your mind to the expense of people being poor. Because for capitalism to work, someone has to be on top of the pyramid and someone has to be on the bottom. So if you're on top and you know this, it's like it's hard to not think about the people on the bottom. Similarly, for a lot of men engaging in casual sex and feel like they are just finessing women out of their clothes, even if they don't feel like they're finessing them, even if they feel like I was completely honest with you and I told you this is going to be this and it was going to be that. It's just something about, they can tell that it's a plight in that woman's soul after that. The woman doesn't really want to have a casual sex relationship. And you know they only did that because, like what he said in the other song, maybe women not understanding their worth, and I'm taking advantage of that. And so for a lot of men, so there's men who maybe have a different plight when they're not getting access to it, but there's another plight where people are getting access to it almost too easily or too much so. Then there's like, and are conscious, because it's easy for someone of that to be like, you know, want to encourage women to do that. So there's nothing wrong with them doing that. Some people are hyper conscious and more empathetic, maybe like, yeah, I can say that and kind of cope on that or use that to justify my actions, but I don't know if I necessarily agree even with myself. So usually, at least, even though you recognize the hypocrisy, the beauty is that type of thought process is what eventually leads to change. If you justify it, then you will stay the same way and keep doing the negative thing forever. Eventually you'll change.
Damn, what's good? How you been? Yeah, that's crazy. Yo, 1 second, bro. 1 second, I got you. Nah, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. I was wondering too, like, I didn't know if I was gonna see you or what. Yo, 1 second, bro. I got you. I'm just talking to her right now. Hell yeah. You gonna be here for a minute? Alright. Get the fuck up out my face with what you talking about. I got too much on my plate.
All right.
I know you can't really.
You're gonna let the chorus rock out, but at the end, one thing that was interesting as he was talking to the girl, clearly someone trying to get his attention, saying like, "Hey, you J. Cole," blah blah blah. He trying to, talk with the lady. The guy said basically like, "All right, we're gonna see about that." Like, "All right, we're gonna see about that," and something like that. You're gonna be here for a minute, all right, bro. If you ever in that situation, you blowing somebody off or you being rude, even if I know you trying to focus on doing your thing. I'm not talking to J. Cole, I'm talking to anybody. And you blow somebody, this is what I'm talking about, like you growing up in the environment, if you do that to someone and don't tell them that you're gonna be there, stay right there unless you really wanna get into whatever it could be, especially if what you just did was in front of a woman, bro. This is what I'm saying. You gotta have good survival instincts. Don't stay there. If you're talking with that woman, y'all better get in the car and leave. Because if you stay there, you don't know what he's on. And you just blew him off, kind of treat him like a fan in front of a woman. Male ego is a sensitive thing. Let's go.
They show love, but it be fake. Fuck you talking about. Should be covering up that hate. I know how to spot a snake. Niggas talk that drum and bass. Fuck you talking about. So you better know your place. Stay inside, cause it ain't safe. Bitch, I'm outside with the eights. Fuck you talking about. But tell me what sense do it make? Coming back when you escape.
All right, so I don't know. I was listening. I didn't know if the dude was walking back up with him, gonna do something to him, or what was happening. Sound like a car door open and a gun was loaded. I don't know if that was the sound of. I'm not a huge gun enthusiast. Of course, we own guns. You heard a sound of a car door opening and then the gun. So I don't know who was loading the gun. If that was him taking the girl home and just keeping his gun loaded, or if that was the guy he just blew off going back to his car. Because we heard the footsteps before that and going to load his gun, since he said, you blew him off and basically said, you're going to be here, all right. Like I said, that's something you don't ever want to do. Don't ever do that. But drum and bass, yeah, I like that song. I mean, it was vibey. Next song, The Let Out.